Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be talking about the process of critical reading. Critical reading is something you should be using throughout the semester, whether you're just reading one of our assignments on Canvas or doing an actual reading in our textbook or reading an article that I've assigned. Critical reading is going to help you be able to make the most of your reading and get the most points on your assignments. So let's take a look at what I mean when I say critical reading. Okay, critical reading means moving beyond just thinking about what is it that this text means, right? It's also looking critically at the choices that the author makes in order to communicate their message. You may have heard about the rhetorical situation, right? In the rhetorical situation, you're looking at who is the author of the text? Are they kind of qualified to give me this information? What is the audience that they're trying to portray their message to? And for what reason, or what is the purpose that they are trying to communicate this message? Looking at those things helps you to think critically about the reading, because it will just make you think about, is this an audience? Am I part of the audience? What am I getting out of this? And as a college student, I want you to be critical of the reading. I don't want you to just, look at something for the meaning, accept it at face value. I want you to be able to challenge what you're reading and say, if this is what the author was trying to do, I don't think they're doing a good job. And so critical reading will help you be able to do that. All right, it's going to help you improve your comprehension and improve your writing skills as well as you look at how the author is going about communicating their message. So how do we do it? So you may have never thought about reading as a process, but it is indeed a process, okay? And so it basically has three different parts: before you read, as you read, and after you read. So before you read, I want you to think about, why are you reading? What is it that you need to get out of this text? When you have a purpose for reading, it helps you stay engaged with that reading. We've all had those times when I read every word on the page, and then you get tested on it, or somebody says, what was that about? And you're like, no idea, right? Because you weren't thinking about purpose, you weren't reading for a purpose, and you weren't really concentrating on that reading. And so then that just becomes a waste of time. And so if you establish a purpose for reading before you read, then you have reason to stay engaged with that reading. Also, before you read, you're going to want to go ahead and preview the text, just see how many pages it is, what it looks like, if it has graphics, and think about some questions you can ask yourself. Again, setting that purpose for reading. I'll give an example of this with the reading that we're going to do for homework in just a little bit. Okay, then as you read, keep thinking about questions. What ideas is the text raising in your own head? Annotate. We'll talk a little bit about what that is in just a minute. Think about what the main idea of that reading is and how the author is supporting their main idea. That's the organizational structure. And reading recursively means that sometimes you're going to need to go back and reread areas. Finally, after you read, you should make sure that you can summarize. You should make sure you're able to say, what was that article about? And be able to say that. And then take a little time to think about it and think critically about it and what you thought about the article. Sorry, they're mowing outside my window now, if you can hear that. By annotating. The word annotation means to add notes or to give explanation or context. And so when I ask students to annotate a piece of writing, that means I want them to add notes, right? I don't want them to just highlight the text. I want you to add your own words, and that will help you be able to remember what you read and also to think more critically about it. And so you see, highlighting just means marking the text either with a highlighter or underlining it. That has some value, makes it easier to go back and maybe find some main ideas. But when you put it in your own words, like in the margin, when you interact with the text, that helps you, especially if you're going to be doing some kind of response to a reading. Okay, finally, when, what, and how do you highlight? All right. First of all, you're always looking for the author's main idea. In some texts, it's not going to be right there conveniently at the bottom of the first paragraph like we do in academic writing. And so you may have to kind of search it out. It might not be even said in one explicit sentence. You might have to, when you're done reading, think about, what was the main idea? What was this source about? One way I tell students to do that is think about, what was the topic of the reading? And so in a topic, it's just like 1 or 2 words, right? You know, it might be, what was the topic? Oh, it was about Spider-Man. Okay, what did the author want you to know about Spider-Man and this particular Spider-Man movie? And that's how you can find the main idea of the text, whether it be a movie or a reading. Okay, think about what was it about? It was about college success. Okay, what did the author want you to know about college success? And the answer to that question is usually going to be your main idea. So you want to try to figure out what the main idea is. Also, as you're reading, think about summarizing either each paragraph, or sometimes the paragraphs are short, you know, each section, summarizing those in your own words. This will really make sure that you understand what you're reading, and it'll also keep you engaged as you read. You can also talk to the text, right? That means thinking about what is going on and how are you feeling as you read it. Is it making you sad? Is it making you mad, happy? You can clue those things in with annotations in the text. You know, sometimes when I'm reading, I'll write things like, wow, or I didn't know that. And so that just kind of gives my response to the text. Also, in addition to thinking about what the text says, you can also think about what each paragraph does. Okay, so that means we kind of all know, I hope, at least like 5-paragraph essay structure. And so as you're thinking about what does that paragraph do? Is it supporting the thesis statement? Is it a paragraph that supports kind of a minor detail? Is it an introduction? Is it giving background information? So think about what is it that that paragraph is adding to the article. And by looking at that structure, that's going to help you improve your own reading. All right, I think that's it for this PowerPoint. Let's see if I can get out of this. All right, so let's take a look at how this looks. This is an article that we're going to be reading for this unit. It's called College Completion Rates Are Up, but the Numbers Will Surprise You. I asked you to read this. I'm going to have you write a response to it, so that's something to consider while you're reading it. And then also later in the semester, we're going to be talking about diverse groups and how successful they are in college. And so this article will hopefully get you thinking about college success and who is really being successful in college. So you can see I've started to highlight and annotate this article. I'm doing it electronically. Generally, I actually prefer to do my highlight and annotate on paper, but I also wanted to show you how you can do it electronically in case that's something you want to do. This is just a Word document. I just used the highlight tool and highlighted different things to highlight, highlight the text. So if I wanted to highlight that sentence, just highlight it, right? And then to write in the margins, I just go ahead and click review, and then I can highlight a section and put a comment. All right, so you see what I did in this top half is I made one comment kind of for this top half, this introduction probably is the real truth of it. And so this is my own words summarizing what they're telling me in this introduction. All right, and so this is how one way that you can annotate. Again, I could, depending on how much information is here, what I want to say, I can make one annotation, or maybe I want to make several. But, a nice way to divide it up, this article is already divided with some subheads. And so if I summarize each of these sections, then I'm going to have a pretty good idea what the article is about when it's over. If I needed to write a summary of the article, I can easily do that. And so that's what it looks like to highlight and annotate an article. Before I read this article, I would go through and think about what is my purpose for reading. All right, my teacher wants me to react to the article, but I want to think about students and who higher education is really for, who is successful at college. So those are ideas I want to look at. And so I might put those kind of annotations in the margin. I might think of some questions. College completion rates are up, but the numbers will surprise you. So I'm reading this, I might say like, what numbers? What do they mean by college completion rates? Why might it surprise me? And so now I also have some other kinds of questions as I'm reading to think about. So that's how it looks. The other thing in the preview is I'll always go through and see 2 pages, 3 pages. Oh, it's not so long. All right, good. So that's another thing that you might want to look at is how long the text is. That'll help you gauge how long you should take to read it, how much time you should set a time for yourself. Okay, I'm feeling stuffy today. That's enough talking for me. Hopefully that gives you a better idea of critical reading. Thanks. Bye-bye.